Yeah, my name is Saskia Beer. I'm an entrepreneur, started in the recession, so I will tell you a little bit about that. I develop new tools and methods for what I call collaborative urban development. And after having given you a little bit of background of what I believe what that is and why it is important, I'll take you with me to Amsterdam 10 years ago, and just to give you a very real-life, practical idea of how my project and my company started, and then I'll kind of fast forward, take you to today, to my company TransformCity and what we are doing right now. So, if you look at cities, well, around the world, I think I see a transition where we used to develop areas like from the top down, large development of new areas. And this is a process that's mostly led by local government. You make a vision, you make a master plan, and then either you have a public-private partnership or you tender the plots to developers, and you have a lot of control over the outcomes of the whole plan. But then over, let's say, the past decade, we've seen a shift towards more the transformation and the densification of existing areas. And well, the cities that have been hit by the crisis, they have learned to not go into the large-scale acquisition of all this ground and real estate that they don't own anymore in these existing areas because they've been tendering or selling it a long time ago already. And if you don't acquire back all this land, because in the Netherlands we've seen a lot of municipalities going bankrupt on this. They bought up the land, they made a new vision, crisis, poof. No developments. And then, so this way of acquisition and having these very long, big development projects proved to be very irresilient. So we had to find another way. But then if you want to somehow achieve your goals within urban transformation, you want to build new housing, you have to be more energy efficient, for example. You have to collaborate with all these different stakeholders in the area and with, I'm still here. You have to collaborate with all these existing stakeholders, the real estate owners, the companies, the citizens, the NGOs, the local communities, and you as a government, of course, to somehow get to results. And this is such a different game, such a complex game, that we have to do this in a different way. We cannot use the same methods of vision, master plan, tender, because it makes no sense here. All these stakeholders need to feel that they are part of this collaborative approach and really need to be involved actively and collaborate also with each other. And that is something that, of course, I didn't think the moment I lost my job. But I said, I was sitting there looking at the world around me, thinking, what we need is collaborative urban development. And then, poof, it was. No, my friends. It went slightly differently. I'll take you with me to Amsterdam. More specifically, to Amstel 3 Office District. It's the third economic district of Amsterdam, the third economic cluster. And as you can see here, it's a 250-hectare office district, monofunctional, built in the 80s. And back then, so this is 2009, you had 30% vacancy rate, and all the specialists, they were warning that this would go up and up and up, because in the whole metropolitan region of Amsterdam, we had 2 million square meters of vacant offices. 200,000 was here in Amstel 3, and it was just getting worse. And the municipality had made this big top-down vision, Amstel 3 in 2040, and it was all based on large-scale acquisition. So more or less at the same time, when I lost my job, they realized that this plan was not going to take place. But they had no idea what to do. And they thought, okay, we need to facilitate initiative from market and society. But then the market in society, as you can see here, was highly fragmented. The buildings were owned by 80 different real estate owners, and some of them were abroad, others had no idea where they had even had their real estate. But in any case, they had no overview of what was going on. Most of them didn't even know there was a vision for 2040 where they were no part of. They had no platform where they could exchange information or build collaborations. So there was hardly any organization. So this idea that the market and society would take over the initiative that the municipality would then facilitate did not happen. Nothing happened. The first fire had taken place in one building and the real estate owner didn't bother to repair it because it was vacant anyway. So, you could see the downward spiral getting started and the municipality didn't know what to do. That's where I came to the rescue. Because I had simply nothing else to do. There were no jobs, I had gone to a, I don't know the English word, like this agency where you can go for when you want to find a job. And then she said, oh, my dear child, an architect, we cannot put them anywhere. Nobody wants you. Good luck. All right. So just to give you a little bit of background, because I think, I'm telling you, because there is an important thing here in this thing that you said in your introduction, like what is this point when you step forward, when you do something, even when you don't have money, you don't have network, you don't have real estate, you don't have anything in this area that you would consider as resources. But there's one important thing, and then when you look at the scales of your life, there's one point where you have more to win than to lose. Actually, I had nothing to lose, because what I had to lose, I lost already. And then there was a lot to win, because I thought there's a big problem here. And there are a lot of people here who have something to win and something to lose. There's a lot at stake here. So if I can, take up an active role here, there's a hell of a lot to win. So there I went with a little champagne, and then it got more and more and more champagne, and then I decided to just combine the useful with the pleasant, so I made champagne part of the business model by launching an initiative that was called Glamourmanifest. And the Glamourmanifest was my unsolicited bottom-up initiative. I adopted the Amstel 3 area. But as I told you, I was an unemployed individual, recently graduated with no money, position, or network, or any influence at that point. So what I did have, I had a vision that I translated into a bold story. I had very small actions, and I had some free technology at my disposal. A very important one, social media, which can give you free campaigning power, and you can reach a lot of people when you have to trigger them with in the right way. So I thought about this campaign-like project, Glamourmanifest, where I claimed that all these hardworking people in Amstel 3, those 26,000 people in this horrible, vacant, boring place, that they deserved more glamour in everyday life. And the glamour was kind of a metaphor for this new urban quality. And I started to translate all these ingredients that were in the vision from the municipality as well, but I translated it into glamorous metaphors. So I claimed champagne on rainy Monday mornings. And we have lots of rainy Monday mornings in the Netherlands. Actually, we only have rainy Monday mornings in, in the Netherlands. So we have coffee on a sunny Monday morning. And I claimed we wanted rose scent next to exhaust fumes. And here's the art again, poetry next to annual reports. So just to trigger the imagination of, okay, this is what it is right now, this is what it could be. So how would you imagine the future of this area? And as I found out really soon, and just going out and talking to people and asking them, so what do you want in this area? Then the response you get, nothing, I don't know. guess it's fine, it's horrible, but these places are probably supposed to be horrible, so we use some other ways to trigger their imagination. So here you see also some small events and some small interventions that we organized. In the beginning, with just the one on the top, that was just a few bottles of the cheapest Prosecco I could find, which was done with a start subsidy that I managed to get from the Dutch Creative Industry Fund. So I just managed to organize a few small things, and I used that to start to build my network with the decision makers in the area. So I started to talk with the municipalities, started to talk with the real estate, with some of the real estate owners, because they were not very easily accessible. And just by taking some first steps, they also opened the door to the first conversations. And then the next step, the next conversation. So I was kind of leveraging my way into this area. And also bringing in the first sponsorings, because just having a few bottles of champagne was something that for the municipality was something they could afford when the story was right, they saw something was happening. So it was a very, very low budget way of getting something off the ground and spreading the word through social media, sending out new, press releases for everything that we did. And over time, you saw that the interventions started to get a little bit larger. We started to bring in the real estate owners and the municipality as paying members of Glamourmanifest. So here's where the local business model started. Because what for a real estate owner who has millions going on in his portfolio and is even vacancy doing nothing costs a lot of money. So we could just get a little bit of that to pay my own expenses, to pay some of the interventions. So it started to become a business model. Then we started to build our network, and because we had a lot of free publicity, the decision makers started to become more interested. And we were the only ones, actually we, royal plural, I was the only one who had invested in this local network. So the municipality at one point also asked me to organize events where we were putting more content on the agenda. Or sometimes we organized them in our own initiative, just to bring together all these different stakeholders, and everybody could put their issues on the agenda, and we would discuss them and see if we could co-create solutions, build collaborations, etc. We started to co-create a future vision together that was actually adopted by the municipality as a formal document. And the first interventions, the first spatial investments and interventions took place. Some of them very temporary and light, but really real. And that's when I thought, this is becoming successful, but we, royal plural, was getting slightly overworked because there was so much going on, and every stakeholder and people from the municipality were phoning me, like, do you know, blah, 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 request for information, request for network, request for vacant space or available blah, 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 blah. And I was connecting everybody through like an old-fashioned telephone centralist, and I was getting the weakest link in my own chain. And then I realized that what I had been doing, even though I wanted to become the area to become more resilient, I had built a larger and more diverse community, but it was still centralized. But actually the center node should have been very small, because now it was me in the center. So if I would go bankrupt, I was already bankrupt, burned out, or would have hit my head like a bit worse than I did right now, the whole thing would collapse again. Third economic district of Amsterdam. So there was something very weird about that. And that's when I realized that I had to somehow find a way to distribute this network and to really make the area more self-organizing and more strong to survive, regardless of the person who organizes all these things. They should become less dependent on me. So I could go on holiday, drink champagne more. So that's when I started, that's when now I fast forward to where I am right now, that's when I started to think about technology and the possibilities that technology is actually providing us with. Because the internet is a distributed network structure already. You have things like crowdfunding, open data, GIS, interactive mapping. You have so many things available already. What if we could combine this all into a highly local integral solution that would facilitate this whole process? Because I'd been learning so much about those 8 years in Amstel 3. I knew precisely what kinds of things were going on there. So many lessons learned, so many results made. So I started to craft slowly but surely a solution that would be the perfect facilitator of this process, allowing all the different stakeholders and the municipality to directly exchange data, plans, ideas, and resources, build collaborations, co-invest in local projects, and over time build a sustainable community of co-owners underneath it that is actually safeguarded in the platform instead of in my mobile phone or in my head, even worse. So just to give you a quick idea, I'll give you some screenshots. We went live with the very first low-budget test pilot in 2016. Then we won quite some also international smart city awards, received interest from a lot of cities worldwide, actually. And last year, we were one of the winners in the Startup in Residence program from the city of Amsterdam. So the city now became our official launching customer, and they will adopt this process, this method and tooling into their own urban development processes. So where for the past 8 years we've been like a pilot, and a pilot is also, it's a euphemism for like non-committal, somewhere outside the edges of their organization. So if it doesn't fit, you out the door. But now they are committing to doing this, and next month they will implement TransformCity in 2 of their largest transformation districts, Amstel 3, but also Sloterdijk in the west side of the city. So just to give you an idea, these are some fictional screenshots, because we're still building, but we have an interactive map where we have a filter with all the different issues that are taking place in the area: infrastructure, energy, waste, public space, facilities, buildings. I forgot one slide, actually. There is one layer underneath the pins where you have GIS layers, maps where you can click on all the buildings, all the objects in the area, and get basic information that is provided either through open data sets, but also user-generated sets that is provided by the different stakeholders in the community. So you actually build this equal information position where everybody is exchanging the information about the area. All the pins on the maps are projects and ideas that are still in the pipeline. There is a timeline so you can see what the recent plans have been and what the future plans and scenarios are. And this is all interactive, so every project that you click on, you can comment, ask questions, you can like, you can share it within your own network. So we build the networks and the networks from the networks. But you can also, for example, through crowdfunding, you can also back specific projects. And everybody remains the owner of their own project, so you can set up collaborations around different projects. And the moment when you actively engage in one of these projects, or you start your own project, you make a user profile for free. So we do have our zero, not for the municipality itself who provides it, but then for every user. You make a profile where you tell, this is my role in the area. You can share a little bit about yourself and about all the projects and the buildings that you own. And by doing that, everybody can directly connect to each other. So we've been co-creating this together with the people from the municipality and with a selection of stakeholders from the area, incorporating all their ideas and wishes and requirements. So I'm very excited about going live next month. That is also the point where where the platform is ready to scale. So that is also when we start to become more active in scaling to the other cities in our pipeline as well. So if you go to transformcity.com, you can from next month you can see it live, and you can also find more information. But I'm also very happy to tell you a bit more during break. Thank you very much. I hope I also inspired you a little bit, that even if it seems that it all goes wrong, that you should be happy at the point where you feel that you have nothing to lose, because that's usually the point where you have a lot to win. Thank you very much.